So for this video, you need to download these assets and you can find them from the link in the description. So make sure to download these assets and then get started in DaVinci Resolve. So right now we're going to create a new timeline and we will use the vertical resolution. Okay. Now the first thing is to add a fusion composition and we're going to keep this at 5 seconds. Now we're also going to add another composition because there will be two different compositions and we will add a transition in between them. So in the first composition, let's go ahead to the Fusion page and add in a background. Connect the background with the media out and also add this multi-merge. Now go ahead and add this background image for the road. This is the road image and go ahead, connect this. Go over to the multi-merge. First of all, make sure to change this, rename this, and then change the size. So let's go with 3, something like this. And now let's go ahead and add in this car image. Connect this with the multi-merge, and also in the multi-merge we're going to rename this as car, and I will change the size to 1.5 and position this somewhere around here. Now let's go ahead and add in this car dashboard. Connect this with the multi-merge as well, and for this one as well we're going to change this to dashboard. So make sure to rename these so that it is easier to access them later on. And let me increase the size for this, so let's go with 2. And you will notice that for this image, this particular image, you will notice that we have this screen over here. So I could not find any image from which I could remove this. So we're going to do that manually. We're going to remove this manually. And if you download any PNG for this, you can say dashboard, you will find this screen in front of it. And this is the kind of effect that it will leave. So we need to manually remove that. For that, you can just import this polygon and connect this with the media in 3. Now I'm quickly going to just draw this rectangle, you can say. Not really a rectangle, but just like this shape. And now we're going to manually adjust this. So with these points right here, let's manually readjust them. So I'm going to add this point right here, then this point right here. And you have to do this manually. Make sure that only the screen below it is not visible. So you can add multiple lines like this. And I'm just going to quickly do this. So there you have it. I have this done and you can already see that it looks clean, doesn't look messy. So you can just simply create this yourself. Now the next thing was to go over to the multi-merge, and from here we're going to position the car once again. So we're going to move this a little bit downwards, somewhere around here. Okay. Now the next thing is to make some animations. So for this, first of all, we need to add a transform. And you will notice in these types of shorts that there are a lot of movement in the camera. So this is how you can cover that aspect in this video. So first of all, we're going to use this transform to zoom in on this navigation. So over here at 0, you can just create a keyframe at center and then at size. And then let's go all the way to 50. And from here, let's increase the size to maybe, let's say 1.5. And then move this up somewhere around here. Go over to spline and make sure to select the displacement first. And select these keyframes, hit S on the keyboard. Now unselect them and select the size and do the same thing. Select the keyframes and hit S on the keyboard. So if you play this now, this is how it will look. Okay, so right here at 50, we're also going to move this back and then move this car in. So for that, let's just go over at maybe 70 and go over to transform. And from here, let's just go with 1.4. So if you play this, you will just get this like effect that it's moving out now. The camera is moving. And now we're going to bring the car in. So go over to multi-merge and from here at 50 till 70, we're going to bring this car in. So I'm going to create a keyframe right here, but let me just move this slightly down and slightly to this side. Create a keyframe at center, make sure the car is selected, and then over here at 50, we are going to move this outside the screen. And again, in the spline, what you can do is select these keyframes. So in the multi-merge bar, make sure to select the displacement and then select these keyframes and hit S on the keyboard. So if you play this now, this is how it will look. Now over here in transform, we're going to add a crash effect, like a collision happening. So for that, let's just go over at 70, create a keyframe at angle, one frame ahead. Let's change this to 2. Let's go one frame ahead, change this to -2 maybe, and one frame ahead, let's go back to 0. So if you play this now, you will see that it gives us a crashing effect. Now you can extend this, you can make this, increase this, you can say increase the length of this so that it is not that quick, but I'm going to go with this. Okay, so now that we are done with the basic movement, we're also going to add some more effects to it. So right here, besides the multi-merge, I'm going to add this brightness, and right here at the beginning, at 5 frames, go ahead and create a keyframe at gain. Now go over at 15, change this to 1.5, and then at 25, let's change this back to 1. So if you play this, you will notice that we get this nice looking transition with this highlight effect. And now the car is moving in. Okay, so one thing you will notice is that our car is visible over here. And that is because I made that change. I moved the car right here when we were already zooming in. So let's go over at 0. Actually, let's go over at 50 so that this does not create a new keyframe, and just move the X a little further. So now at 0, you will notice that it is no longer visible. And right here, this car comes in and then we have a crash effect. Okay, one more thing we want to do here is to add this color corrector. Now you can either add this after the transform or before transform, that's up to you. I'm just going to go with after the transform. Now right here at the collision, right here at this side, 72 maybe. I'm going to create a keyframe right here and then right here at gain. And then at 85, I'm going to change this to red and then also reduce the gain a little bit. So after the crash, we have this red effect coming in. And finally, I'm going to add this text. Make sure to connect this with the color corrector. This will create this merge node for us, but let's just change this text to, let's say, crash, and then you can use any font that you want. Let's just go with extra bold open sans, increase the font size, and over here add shading. Um, or let's just change the color for now. I'm just going to change the color to yellow maybe, something like this. And let's go ahead and add a drop shadow. So press Control Space and search for drop shadow and you will get this. Now let me just zoom in and change the drop distance. So I'm going to reduce the drops distance and also the blur size as well. And let's increase the shadow strength. So something like this, as you can see. Now I'm going to add a glow effect. So again, search for it by pressing Control Space. And now you can just increase the size of this. So let's just go with 70. So here we have our text as well. And now for the animation. So right here where we have this crash happening at, let's say, 70, we can start the animation for the text. So I'm going to use this write on effect. So right here, let's change this to 0, create a keyframe, and then at 80, let's change this to 1. So if you play this, this is how it will look. Okay. Now if you go back to the main timeline, you can see this is how it looks. Now we need to create a transition effect. So for this, you can use any transition effect that you have. You can go ahead and search for transition effects. And this is basically light transition effect that I'm going to create from scratch. And I have already done this in many of the videos that I create, but I'm going to do this again. So if we move like 5 frames back, maybe let's add this right here. Then let me just zoom in. So let's move 5 frames back right here. Let's start this right here and then 5 frames ahead right here. And let me just add this cut, remove this. So right here, we have this transition effect. So let's go over to the composition, add this background, connect this to the media out, and then change this to, let's say, a yellow color, something like this. Now over here, I'm going to add the color curves and add, go over to mode and change this to animated color correct. Then right here, add 5. Let's create a keyframe and then add 0. Let's change this to 0. And then right here, let's move this to maybe somewhere around here. And then at the end, let's move this back to 0. So something like this. And if we play this, this is the kind of transition that you will get. Now you can also play around with this, change the color as well if you want to. I'm just going with a more lighter color, you can say, and that's it. Now for the second composition, go over to the Fusion page and right here, let's add in our second road called road 2. And actually, let me just add this background and then multi-merge, connect this with the media out, and then let's connect our road. And then right here, let's change this to road. And let me also position this a little bit. So somewhere around here. And again, for this, we're also going to add transform. So we're going to move in at, let's say, 40. So actually, for this one, I'm going to create a keyframe at size at 40 and just leave it right there. But at 0, I'm going to move this out. So maybe around 0.8. So if we play this, this is how it looks. But then in the spline, we can once again ease in our keyframe just like we did before. So something like this. Then right here, we're going to add some, you can say, assets like this barrier. Let's connect this. Let's go over to the media in1, which is the image for the road, and then add this brightness. So I'm going to just change the gain from here, somewhere around 0.3 maybe. Then right here, add 40. We're going to add this barrier. And let me just reduce the size a little bit. So over here at 40 till 50, we're going to add a barrier. But for this one, I'm going to use this mask rectangle, connect this right here, and then make sure that this is at full size. Increase the soft edge a little bit. And then over here at 50, let's create a keyframe at center. Then here at 40, let's move this out somewhere around here. Then at 60, let's create a keyframe at center, and then at 70, let's move this out. So if I play this now, the whole scene, this is how it will look. This comes in, goes out. Actually, this is a little fast, as you can see, but what you can do is go over to 65 maybe, and then move this right here. You can delete this keyframe from 60, and then do the same thing at 45 maybe. So you can just bring this in at 45, and then remove this keyframe at 50. So if you play this, this is how it looks. And actually, let's increase the soft edge a little bit. Yeah, perfect. Now let's also add our second image for this, which is this warning sign. And of course, I'm going to do the same thing with this, and this will reveal itself at 75. So add in this rectangle, connect this with the image, increase the width and the height, increase the soft edge, Now over here at, let's say 80, I'm going to create a keyframe at center, then at 75, let's move this out, then at 95, create another keyframe at center, and then at 100, let's move this out. So now let's see the whole thing from here. All right, perfect. Now you will notice for this one, it has not a very nice, you can say, soft edge right here. So you can just reduce this one, maybe. So somewhere around here. And actually, one other thing you can do is just change the width. Let's go with 1.5 and then height as well, 1.5. Then you can increase the soft edge right here. Okay, so, but you will notice that again, this has a little problem with us. So we need to manually adjust this. So right here at 75, we need to move this out. And then right here at 100, we need to move this out again. So this way you can cover the, you can say, masking. And we have our scene ready now, but all we need is the text now. Now, the best way to do that is you can just go back to the first composition, copy the text from here, Control C, and copy everything from drop shadow to glow, and then go back to this timeline now, actually this composition, and then paste this right here, and then attach it to the multi-merge. Now, over here, you will notice we have this revealing in from this side, but let's just remove these keyframes for now. And let's go right here at 40 and create a keyframe at right on, then at 50. Let's add this in and let's also move this up. We can also like change the text from here as well. So let's just call this no signs maybe. Okay, no barrier. So this is a barrier. So let's just call this barrier and if we reduce the size as well for this text somewhere around here. And if you play this, something like this, and then right here at 60, I'm going to go over to shading, then create a keyframe at opacity, then at 70, let's change this to 0. And then right here where we have this effect coming in, we can create this opacity keyframe again. And actually it's already created at 70, so we can just go over to 80 and then reveal this in. But you will notice that we have the same text, right? For this, go over at 70 and then create a keyframe right here, and just go one frame ahead and change this to no warning. So now the text will change. So if you play this right here, actually from this side, this position right here, I'm going to add another right on effect. So let's go over at right on, create a keyframe. Then at 70, let's change this to 0. Then at 80, let's change this back to 1. And actually, I'm going to go over to the shading and in the opacity, what I'm going to do right now is just go over at 70 and then just change this to 1 and then remove this one at 80 that we created. So something like this. And finally, we're going to fade this out from 90, create a keyframe at opacity now at this position, and then at 100, let's just change this to 0. So if you play this thing now, this composition, this specific composition, now we need to add some little more effects. First thing we're going to do is add this broken glass video right here where we have this crash coming in. So somewhere around here, as this comes in, the car comes in, you will notice that this is where the crash happens. So we can just move in our broken glass. And actually, I'm going to start this with later on, somewhere later on in the timeline. So maybe around here. Yeah. So around here, when this starts to break, as you can notice, just start the video from here. You can just start this like this and go over here to this video and change the composite to add. So if you play this now, here you can see we have this nice looking crash effect now. Now, one other thing I would like to do here is change the opacity a little. So let's go with 50 and go over to the cropping and change the softness to -100. So if you play this now, here you can see this is how it looks now. Right here, we're also going to finish this. Let me just cut this right here and remove this from this position. And actually, let's move this transition up and this video overlay down so that we have this transition. Perfect. Okay, now for the sound effects. Right here we have this transition and we have this, you can say, a white light coming in. So for this, we can add a effect called transition. Now this is a sound effect called transition. You can find this, of course, from the link in the description, and make sure to add this right where you have this light coming in. So if I play this, let me just adjust. Okay, sounds perfect. Now over here, I'm going to just change the volume to, let's say, -10. And right here we have this car coming in. And for this, we have this sound effect, car accident with squeal. So right where this car comes in at this position, you can just start this from here. Okay, let me just move this back a little. Okay. Now you don't need to have this throughout the video. You can just cut this as well. So right here where we have this crash happening, I'm going to add a cut and I'm going to change this basically. And then right here, let's do something like this. And of course, I'm going to select these and reduce the size a little, volume a little. Here you can see. And then right here, I'm going to add this transition effect again. Perfect. Now where we have this barrier and the text coming in, we can just add this high tech sound effect right here. Okay, so make sure you cut this right where this whole thing is revealed. You need to cut this right here and then remove this part and then go over to the other side right here where this no comes in. Right before it, just add this again. Perfect. And of course, change the volume for this as well. Let's go with -5. Perfect. So there you have it. This is how you can create these, you can say, motion graphics for YouTube Shorts. I hope you found this video useful, and I will see you in the next one.